Segment 9, registration, page number 93. Mr. Z of Himachal Pradesh starts a new business. Himachal Pradesh starts a new business and makes the following supplies in the first month. Intrastate taxable goods amounting to 27 lakhs, supply of exempted goods amounting to 11 lakhs, interstate supply of taxable goods amounting to 1 lakh. Whether he need to obtain registration? Yes, compulsory registration. He is making interstate supply of taxable goods, so therefore he need to compulsorily get registered. Always you check section 24 first. If the person is compulsorily required to get registered, they are required to get registered. Then you check. Suppose if it is not covered under 24 compulsory registration, then you see the monetary limit. That what is that threshold limit. So Himachal Pradesh means what is the threshold limit and what is the turnover. Turnover exceeds threshold limit, then they are required to get registered. But that point is not applicable here because they are making interstate supplies, so they are compulsorily required to get registered. So liable to obtain registration as he makes interstate supply of goods. Option C is the answer. Then which of the following statements are correct? Revocation of cancellation of registration under CGST Act shall be deemed to be revocation of cancellation under SGST Act. True. Cancellation of registration under CGST shall be deemed to be cancellation of registration under SGST. True. So 1 and 2. The other two are wrong. Option A. Okay. Revocation of cancellation under CGST shall not be deemed. Shall not be deemed. So these two are false statements. Which of the following person is required to obtain compulsory registration? I creations. Persons exclusively engaged in making intrastate supplies. Intra, tax on which is to be paid by the recipient on reverse charge. No compulsory registration. Person making interstate supply of taxable services. Services, again no compulsory registration. Person making supply of service through e-commerce operator with aggregate turnover up to 20 lakhs. Services, no compulsory registration, only supplier of goods through e-commerce operator. Person who make taxable supply of goods or service or both on behalf of other taxable person, whether as an agent or otherwise. Yes, agent is compulsorily required to get registered. A non-resident taxable person is required to apply for registration. What is the time limit? At least 5 days before commencement of business. Then registration certificate granted to a casual taxable person or non-resident taxable person will be valid for either A or B. Period specified in the registration or 90 days, whichever is earlier. Okay, it can extend, but actually not 90 days. So it may happen that 90 days we will select. Be careful. Number of days that they apply or 90 days, whichever is earlier. Then number 6, Prem and Sons had taken GST registration on 1st January, but failed to furnish GST returns for next 6 months. Owing to this, the proper officer cancelled its registration on 25th July and served the order for cancellation of registration on 31st July. Now Prem and Sons want to revoke the cancellation of registration. So can they revoke the cancellation of registration in this case? Failed to furnish GST returns. Owing to this, officer cancelled the registration on 25th July and served the order of cancellation on 31st July. Now Prem and Sons wants to revoke. They can make application by which date? 90 days from the date of cancellation order. What is the cancellation order? 31st July. From 31st July, you add 90 days. What is that 90 days from 31st July? So August 31 days and September 30 days. So in October 29 days. So 29th October. 29th October will be taken as the answer. Check the answer below, 6th one. Correct? Okay. 90 days from the date of communication of order, not the date only they cancel, the date they have communicated, served, because we will come to know only on that date now from there. Mr. Ram, a jeweler registered under GST in Mumbai, wants to sell his jewelry in a trade expo held in Delhi. Where is he from? Mumbai. He is taking the jewelry for Delhi. Which of the following statement is false? He need to get registration in Delhi as casual taxable person. True. He need to pay advance tax as estimated tax liability. True. He need to mandatorily have a place of business in Delhi. False. Not required. He is not required to have a place of business. He needs to file GSTR 1 and 3B. Yes, casual taxable person will file the regular returns, GSTR 1 and 3B. So this is also true statement. Then 8, the person making interstate supply from Madhya Pradesh is compulsorily required to get registered under GST if his all India based aggregate turnover exceed 20 lakhs in a financial year. Madhya Pradesh pa. Interstate supplies from Madhya Pradesh is compulsorily required to get registered irrespective of their aggregate turnover. So a person who is making interstate supplies compulsorily required to get registered na. Should we check the turnover? No, irrespective of the turnover. Correct. So irrespective of the turnover, in case he is making interstate supply of taxable goods, irrespective of the amount of turnover, because they did not say goods. They just said supplies, means it can be even goods or services. Only person who is making interstate supply of goods, taxable goods, is compulsorily required to get registered. 9. Mr. X, a casual taxable person, is not involved in making taxable supply of notified handicraft goods. Which of the following statement is true? True for Mr. X, a casual taxable person. X is not required to take registration under GST law under any circumstances. False. X is required to get registered under GST if the aggregate turnover in a financial year exceed 20, exceed 40. False. So they need to compulsorily get registered. Suppose if they are engaged in handicrafts, they will register only when turnover exceeds the threshold limit. Then the registration certificate granted to non-resident taxable person is valid for dash days from the effective date of registration or period specified in the registration application, whichever is earlier. 90 days. It is 90 days. Within how many days a person should apply for registration? 30 days from the date he becomes liable for registration. Option B. Kaleem and Associates made an application for cancellation of GST registration in the month of March due to closure of its business. Its application for cancellation of GST registration was approved on 14 September. In the given case, Kaleem and Associates is required to file final return or not required to file final return? Why? See, they have to file final return for cancellation, not annual return. This is not annual return. It is final return. They have to file final return. Actually, this point we will be coming across in returns chapter. So whenever a person makes cancellation of registration, so he need to reverse the ITC. For reversing the ITC, he need to file a final return. That final return will be within 3 months from cancellation, within 3 months from cancellation, or 3 months from order of cancellation, 3 months from order of cancellation, whichever is later. Good. Whichever is later, not whichever is earlier. Okay. So here, what is the date on which the final return needs to be filed? So what is the date of cancellation? 14 September na. 14 September, 3 months you take. October, November, December. Okay. So they need to file the final return on or before 13th of December. Okay. Not required to file final return, required to file final return on or before 30th September, or required to file final return on or before 14th September. Now, one second, whichever is later only. So, application for cancellation March due to closure of business, its application was approved on 14th September. Okay. So, from March you count 3 months. From March you count 3 months. April, May, June. And when it got approved, cancellation order 14 September. From there 3 months. So whichever is later is definitely 13 September. Option A is only the answer. So 14 September is given. Required to file final return on or before 14 September is wrong. It is actually not even 13 December, 14 December. So mark this as A, option A. For 12, it is option A. 3 months from the date of cancellation or order of cancellation. So therefore, whichever is later, here the order of cancellation is 14th December. 14 December. Actually, these 3 months should be taken for both. 3 months from the date of cancellation or 3 months from the order of cancellation. It should be taken for both. 3 months is common for both. Okay. Later only, but that's how they have created this. Always it will be later only, and but they made a provision like this. Sometimes there will be a retrospective cancellation. So that's why always later will be order of cancellation. So, but they will not cancel for a future date. Na. Today they will not give the order for cancellation on a future date. Like that they will not do. So, but this is how the provision is created. But actually it is a understanding mistake by ICI. Because generally what people follow is 3 months from the date of cancellation or order of cancellation, whichever is later. That is general. But ICI added 3 months for both. Date of cancellation also they added 3 months, order of cancellation also they added 3 months. So that is because of CA exam we need to follow this. But in reality it is not this. 3 months from cancellation or order of cancellation, whichever is later. So, but that is now changed, okay, for exam purpose, 13, Xylo and Company has 3 branches in Jalandhar, Amritsar and Ludhiana in the state of Punjab. Amritsar and Ludhiana branches are engaged in supply of garments and Jalandhar branch engaged in supply of shoes. Which of the following options is or are legally available for registration to Xylo and Company? Now, where are they doing business? Punjab. Okay. So, in the state of Punjab. For Punjab, they are engaged only in supply of shoes. What is the applicable limit? 40 lakhs. Okay. Now, they are required to register. Either they will get separate registration for Jalandhar, Amritsar and Ludhiana, or they will get a single registration. Correct? No, it is up to them. They can decide. Either they can go for a single registration or they can go for separate registrations. Xylo can obtain single registration for Punjab, declaring one of the place of business and other two as additional place of business. True. Xylo can obtain separate GST registration for each of the 3 branches. True. Xylo and Company can obtain one GST registration for shoe business and another registration common for garment business. False. See, either option 1 or option 2. They don't have option 3. Hybrid option is not there. Either get a single registration for all the place of business or get separate registration for each place of business. Not like 2 business, 1 registration, 1 business, another registration, like that you cannot decide. So therefore, it will be option 1 or 2, either 1 or 2. What is the validity of registration certificate? Valid till it is cancelled. There is nothing like that called validity. Till the time you cancel, it will be valid. Rama Limited has provided following information for the month of September. Intrastate outward supply 8 lakhs, interstate exempted outward supply 5 lakhs, turnover of exported goods 10 lakhs, payment made for availing GTA service 80,000. Calculate the aggregate turnover. Payment made for GTA service will not come because that's an inward supply. So outward supply will come, exempted supply will come, exports also will come. So 10 plus 5 plus 8, 23 lakhs will be taken as aggregate turnover. So you know na aggregate turnover meaning. What is that? Taxable supply, exempted supply, non-taxable, zero rated. It excludes inward supply under RCM and taxes. This is aggregate turnover general meaning, not for composition scheme. For composition scheme it's a separate one. Within how many days an application for revocation of cancellation can be made? 90 days. From the service of cancellation order, not issue, service. Issue is the date on which I give, service is the date on which you receive. Today I will give, today itself you will not receive, na? How I will give? Notice I will give in the form of a registered post or courier, something. So today itself you will not receive it. For example, lot of students will be complaining to us, sir, books not at dispatch, sir, books not at dispatch, sir. We dispatch the books, but you have not received it. That is not in our hand. Courier will take some time, na? So it may take 2 days, 3 days, etc. Like that. The date on which you received the order, from there 90 days. Service of cancellation order. Then, so this descriptive question, see this, quickly we will look into it. Lot of theory questions only. In order to be eligible for grant of registration, a person must have a permanent account number issued under Income Tax Act. State one exception. Why one? Two we will give. NRTP? Good. NRTP and TDS TCS deductor. That. State which of the following persons are liable to be registered. Agent supplying taxable goods on behalf of others. Compulsory registration. Agriculturist who is only engaged in supply of produce out of cultivation. Exempted from registration. Pure Oils Delhi has supplied machine oil and high speed diesel oil in the month of April. So machine oil is taxable, high speed diesel oil is non-taxable, but both should be taken in aggregate turnover. In April, so they are in Delhi, so they are engaged in sale of machine oil, high speed diesel oil. Supply of machine oil from in Punjab, made in Punjab by Pure Oils from its branch located in Punjab. So which means they are doing business in 2 states, Delhi and Punjab. And none of the state is in MMT and use stamp. And they are exclusively engaged in supply of goods. What will be the applicable threshold limit? 40 lakhs. Are you getting this? They are doing business in Delhi and Punjab. None of the state is in MMT and use stamp. And they are exclusively engaged in supply of goods. Therefore, the applicable threshold limit to them is 40 lakhs. And in this case, what is their aggregate turnover? 35 lakhs, which does not exceed 40 lakhs. Therefore, Pure Oil is not liable to be registered. What we need to do in presentation is that first you need to write about the threshold limit. So, if the business is in more than one state, and if none of the state is in Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Nagaland, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Telangana, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya and Puducherry, and they are exclusively engaged in supply of goods, the applicable threshold limit will be 40 lakhs. In the present case, the aggregate turnover is as follows. Do the computation. Finally, conclusion. Okay. Question number 4. What will be your answer if in the question above, serial number 2, Pure Oil supplies high speed diesel in Delhi in the capacity of an agent of Mixed Oils Limited? Definitely they need to compulsorily register irrespective of the threshold limit, because every agent who is making supply of goods or services is compulsorily required to get registered. Okay. Then next, what are the advantages of taking registration in GST? Generic question pa, you can write. Generally you can write. What is the advantage? You can avail the ITC, then you will get a recognition that you are having a business. So you are recognized as a supplier, proper accounting of taxes paid on inputs, legally authorized to collect the tax, become eligible to avail various other benefits and privileges, because for registered persons, usually loan approval and all will be easy, based on turnover they will give. Can a person without GST registration collect GST and claim ITC? No. They cannot recover GST from the customer, even they cannot take ITC on inward supplies. Yes. So which case section 23? That is, they are not exclusively engaged in supply of high speed diesel, they are also supplying machine oil. So it is continuation. Only a person who is exclusively engaged in exempted supplies or non-taxable supplies is exempted from registration. This is a continuation to the above question, means mission oils also they are supplying, high speed diesel also. So section 23 will not get attracted here. Then question 7, if a person is making taxable supply from different states with the same permanent account number, can he operate with a single registration? Different states, no. Different states, no. Within the state, okay, but different states, no. Each state from where he makes taxable supplies, he need to get a separate registration. Can a person having multiple places of business in a state obtain separate registration for each place? Yes. Consequently, he can have a single registration by showing one place as his principal place of business and another place as his additional place of business. Is there a provision for a person to get himself voluntarily registered, though he may not be liable to pay GST? Yes, voluntarily they can register, we don't have any restriction. Can the department through proper officer suo motu proceed to register a person under GST? Yes, I told you. Whenever you cross a threshold limit but you have not got registered, suo motu they will make you register under GST whenever they identify. Whether registration granted to any person is permanent? Yes, unless cancelled, unless it is cancelled. Is it necessary for UN bodies to get registration under GST? It's not registration, but they need to get a unique identification number for the purpose of claiming refund of GST paid on inward supplies. Don't tell ITC, because ITC means first of all their outward supply is exempted, they cannot take ITC. Refund of GST paid on inward supplies, and whether they need to get unique identification number in each state or one identification number is sufficient. One identification number across the country. What is the responsibility of the taxable person making supplies to UN bodies? So I am making supply to UN bodies. Should I treat it as B2B or B2C? See, actually it is in essence B2C only, but in GSTR1 we need to show as UIN. I told you long back while discussing e-invoice, I told you in returns what we need to do is that when we add the invoice, we need to add the invoice under B2B, because you can see recipient GSTIN or UIN. Can you see that? Which means whenever I am making supply to UN holders, they will get the refund now, for which I need to show this as B2B supply in GSTR1. But in reality, it is not a B2B supply. The taxable supplier making supplies to UN is expected to mention UN on the invoice and treat such supplies as supplies made to another registered person. This is only for GSTR1, only for GSTR1. However, for e-invoice, it is B2C supplies. This point we have discussed in e-invoice also. Long back, tax invoice, e-invoice, dynamic QR code in invoice, there we have seen. What happens when registration is obtained by means of willful misstatement, fraud or suppression of facts? Cancellation of registration. Is there an option to take centralized registration for service under GST law? No. So centralized registration means across the country only one registration, we don't have. What could be the liabilities in so far as registration is concerned on transfer of business? Whenever we transfer the business, what will happen? In registration chapter, what we need to do? We need to cancel the registration. Okay. Then the recipient should obtain a new registration. At the time of registration, will the assessee have to declare all his place of business? Yes. And one place will be principal, other place will be additional. Then question 18, state with brief reason whether following suppliers of taxable goods are required to register under GST law. Mr. Raghav is engaged in wholesale cum retail trade of medicines in the state of Assam. Assam is not in new stamp. That A is Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. So that Assam is not there in new stamp. and he is exclusively engaged in medicines. Turnover during the financial year is 9 lakhs, which consists of 8 lakhs as intra and 1 lakh as inter. Compulsorily required to get registered because he is making interstate. Medicines are taxable. Medicines are taxable. Actually, medicines are taxable, but medicine sold to inpatients is exempted. Medicine is taxable per se. If I am selling to the outpatient, it will be taxable. If it is sold to the inpatients, it will become exempted. Mr. S.N. Gupta of Rajasthan is engaged in trading of taxable goods on his own account and also acting as an agent of Mr. Rishi of Delhi. Agent compulsorily required to get registered. 19. Answer the following question in respect to casual taxable person under GST Act. Who is a casual taxable person? Definition we need to write. A person who is entering into a state where he is not having any physical place of business, occasionally to supply goods or services. Can a casual taxable person opt for composition scheme? No. CTP cannot opt for composition scheme. Yes, 9 RCM. In that, so C is casual taxable person. They cannot. Then, when is the casual taxable person liable to get registered? Irrespective of threshold limit. Irrespective of threshold limit, they are compulsorily required to get registered. Okay. And they need to make application for registration at least 5 days before commencement of business. Like this, 5 points they will give for 5 marks per 1 mark each. Okay. Then, what is the validity period of registration certificate issued to casual taxable person? Number of days that they request in the registration certificate or 90 days, whichever is earlier. Can the validity of registration certificate issued to casual taxable person be extended? If yes, what is the period of extension? 90 days. But actually don't write it as 90 days, not exceeding 90 days, because they can give 30 days also, 40 days also. See, 90 days over plus 90 days, don't write flat 90 days, for a period not exceeding 90 days. Okay. Then question 20, Mr. Alan, a non-resident person, wishes to provide taxable supply. Same like above, but above is for CTP, this is for NRTP. So wishes to provide taxable supply of goods. He has no fixed place of business or residence in India. He seeks your advice on the following aspects relating to CGST. When shall he apply for registration? Same, at least 5 days before commencement of business. Is permanent account number mandatory for his registration? No. He can get the registration through passport, and the application should be signed by an authorized signatory under a valid permanent account number. What is the period of validity of registration granted to him? Same, 90 days or number of days he requested, whichever is earlier. Will he be able to extend? Yes, for a further period not exceeding 90 days. Then question 21, determine the effective date of registration in the following instances. The aggregate turnover of Madhu Limited engaged in taxable supply of services, the state of Punjab, exceeded 20 lakhs on 25th August 2017. So liable to get registered on 25th August. It applied for registration on 19th September. Is it within 30 days? Yes. And granted registration certificate on 29th. So application is made within 30 days. So 25th August will be taken as the effective date of registration. Second, what will be your answer in the above scenario if Madhu Limited submits the application for registration on 27th September 2017? Is it within 30 days or beyond 30 days? Beyond 30 days, and registration is granted on 5th October. So we need to take 5th October as the effective date of registration. Then question 22, determine with brief reasons whether the following statement is true or false. Registration under CGST Act can be cancelled by the proper officer if the voluntary registered person has not commenced a business within 3 months from the date of registration. No, 6 months. The statement is false, it should be 6 months. Then examine, actually this is given in multiple questions, attempts for 1.5 marks. the weightage. No, one question is 1.5 marks. One question is 1.5 marks, and I just combined it into a single question. Okay. Examine whether the supplier is liable to get registered in the following independent cases. Raghava of Assam is exclusively engaged in intra-state taxable supply of ready-made garments. His turnover from Assam showroom 28, he has another showroom in Tripura with a turnover of 11 lakhs. He is having business in 2 states, Assam and Tripura. One of the state is in MMT, not use stamp, MMT, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Nagaland. So the limit will be 10 lakhs. And here the aggregate turnover is more than 10 lakhs. So therefore they are required to get registered. Then second, Pulkit of Panjim, Goa. Goa we don't have any limit. So 40 lakhs. Exclusively engaged in supply of shoes. His aggregate turnover is 22 lakhs. Not required to get registered because the applicable limit is 40 lakhs. Single state. Single state other than MMT and use stamp. Then Harshit of Himachal Pradesh is exclusively engaged in intrastate supply of pan masala. No need to read. 20 lakhs. 20 lakhs. Why sir 20 lakhs? For pan masala, tobacco products, etc. 40 lakhs limit is not applicable. 20 lakhs. So therefore third case they are liable to get registered. Ankita of Assam is exclusively engaged in intrastate supply of taxable services. Again services, what is the limit? 20 lakhs. In this case it is 25 lakhs. So they are required to get registered. Sanchita of Assam is engaged in intrastate supply of both taxable and goods and services. Again the limit will be 20 lakhs. Here it is 30 lakhs. So they are required to get registered. Clear? Then question 24. Messrs. Siaram is a trader of decorative items. In Hoskas, Delhi, his aggregate turnover exceeded 40 lakhs in the month of October. He applied for registration but missed to submit the details of bank account. His tax consultant advised him that prior submission of bank account is mandatory. Examine whether the advice of CRM's tax consultant is correct. No. So we can submit the bank details even after registration certificate within 30 days from the date on which we got the registration certificate or the date on which you filed the GSTR1, whichever is earlier. But this relaxation is not there for TDS, TCS deductor and people who are required to suo motu obtain registration. Then BBD Private Limited of Gujarat exclusively manufactures and sells product Z which is exempt from GST. So they are making only exclusively exempted goods. The company sells Z only within Gujarat and is not registered under GST law. The turnover of the company in the previous year was 50 lakhs. The company expects the sales to grow by 10% in the current financial year. However, effective from 1/1, exemption available to Z was withdrawn. Okay. So with effect from 1/1, they are liable to get registered. Already they crossed the threshold limit. So with effect from 1/1, they are liable to get registered and they need to make application for registration within 30 days from 1/1/2020. So therefore, BBD is of the opinion that it is not required to register. No, they are required to get registered because in Gujarat, the applicable limit is 40 and they are making 50 means they exceeded the threshold limit. They are required to get registered and examine the above scenario and advise BBD Private Limited whether it needs to get registered under GST or not. Yes, they need to make application for registration within 30 days from 1/1. Question 26. Mr. Akash Malhotra of Gujarat often participates in the jewellery exhibition of trade fair in Delhi, which is organized every year in the month of February. Mr. Akash Malhotra applied for registration in January. Proper officer demanded an advance deposit of tax equivalent to estimated tax liability. Yes, because he is going to Delhi. He is from Gujarat. He is going to Delhi. So means he will be called as a CTP, casual taxable person, because he is not having fixed place of business in Delhi. Every person who is making application as a CTP, casual taxable person, should pay an estimated tax liability, net tax liability as advance tax for the period for which they are obtaining registration or 90 days, whichever is earlier. And so they can also go for extension, and for that extended period also again they need to deposit advance tax. Explain the registration requirement under GST law in the following independent cases. Ahmed of Jammu engaged in business of supplying tobacco based pan masala, 20 lakhs. Here it is 24 lakhs, so they are liable to get registered. Mr. Lepcha, Mizoram. Mizoram is Manipur, Mizoram, 10 lakhs limit. So turnover 13 lakhs. So definitely they are required to get registered. 28. Examine whether the liability to register compulsorily under section 24. Hira, a supplier in Haryana, is exclusively engaged in supply of potatoes produced out of cultivation of land. Section 23, agriculturist exemption. Then Anya of Telangana is exclusively engaged in intrastate supply of toys. Telangana, what is the limit? 20 lakhs, and here it is 22 lakhs, therefore required to get registered. Mostly if you see the questions are on threshold limit only. Majority of the cases, yes, but we need to write the reason. Reasons we need to properly write. What is the applicable threshold limit, and after crossing the turnover they are liable to get registered like that. Question 29. Q Limited is engaged exclusively in supply of taxable goods from the following states. The particulars of intrastate supply for the month of May 2021 are as follows. Now, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Tripura. Tripura is there. So 10 lakhs is the limit. Q Limited seeks to know whether it is liable for registration. Yes, because their total turnover exceeds 10 lakhs. Will your answer be different if Q Limited supplies only petrol and diesel from Tripura instead of taxable goods? Yes. See, one of the state is in MMTN and they should be engaged in supplying taxable goods or services. Then only 10 lakhs. Otherwise, it will be 20 lakhs. So the applicable limit will be 20 lakhs. So once you are covered under MMTN use stamp, 40 lakhs limit will not be applicable. But in this question, they missed that point, and in the suggested answer, they gave it as 40 lakhs. And thereafter, a correndum has been given stating that it should be taken as 20 lakhs only. So the enhanced limit of 20 lakhs is applicable. Thus, it is liable to get registered under GST as its aggregate turnover exceeds the threshold limit. Kindly make the correction. So there is one notification related to that. In that notification, clearly they specified if you are doing business in these 10 states, any supply of goods or services, taxable or exempted any goods, you will not get 10 lakh or that 40 lakhs of threshold limit. Question number 30. Mr. Q, a casual taxable person of Gujarat state, is a trader of taxable notified handicraft goods. It makes supplies to the states of Maharashtra, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh. Turnover for October 2021 is 18 lakhs. So Maharashtra, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh, none of the state is in MMTN use stamp and they are exclusively engaged in taxable handicraft goods. Turnover is 18 lakhs. So explain the provision of registration for casual taxable person. Generally, a casual taxable person is compulsorily required to get registered. But a person who is engaged in sale of handicrafts is required to get registered only when their aggregate turnover exceeds threshold limit. In this case, what is their threshold limit? 40 lakhs. Why their threshold limit is 40 lakhs? Because Maharashtra, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh, none of the state. So here you just change it to 40 lakhs. In the given case, since Mr. Q is engaged in supply of notified handicraft goods and aggregate turnover does not exceed 40 lakhs, he will not be liable to registration provided he fulfills other conditions. Then, what will be the answer if Q makes trading in taxable notified products instead of taxable notified handicraft goods, which involves 75% making on machine and 25% on hand. 75% on machine means it is not handicraft goods. So therefore, it will be normal goods. A person who is making supply as a casual taxable person is compulsorily required to get registered. Then 31, Mr. X of Haryana intends to start business of supplying of building material to various construction sites in Haryana within the state. X has taken voluntary registration under GST in the month of April. However, he has not commenced the business till December. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So more than 6 months. Due to lack of working capital, the proper officer suo motu cancel the registration of X. You are required to examine whether the action of the proper officer is valid. Yes, you need to write. So as per section 29, one of the reasons for cancellation of registration by the officer is that if a person has commenced the business, if the person has obtained voluntary registration and not commenced the business within 6 months, then such person's registration is liable to be cancelled. In the present case, more than 6 months, but he did not commence, so the action of the officer is valid. Mr. X applied for revocation of cancellation of registration after 40 days from the date of service of order of cancellation. Department contends that application can only be made within 30 days from the date of service of order of cancellation. No. So what is the period? Actually it is 90 days. So this was old provision pa. This was old provision, 30 days was old provision, now it is 90 days. Modify the answer accordingly. Where the registration of person is cancelled suo motu, the registered person may apply for revocation within 90 days from the date of service of order of cancellation of registration. However, the set period of 90 days may on sufficient cause being shown and for reasons to be recorded in writing be extended for a period not exceeding 180 days. So kindly make this correction. 180 days by whom? Either additional or joint commissioner or by commissioner. Okay, previously it was 30 plus 30 plus 30, like that it was. Now they modified it to 90 days plus 180 days. Accordingly, we need to answer this. So in this case it is 90 days only na, within 40 days is within 90 days. So therefore the revocation application can be filed. Then 32, what is the validity of registration issued to a casual taxable person, non-resident taxable person? That 90 days point. Does cancellation of registration impose any tax obligation on the person whose registration is cancelled? Yes. 29 subsection 5 you need to write. What is that? They have to reverse the ITC on inputs as such held in stock, inputs in WIP held in stock, inputs in FG held in stock, and capital goods. 34, examine whether the supplier of goods is liable to get registered in the following independent cases. Rudra Builders of Rohini, Delhi is exclusively engaged in intrastate taxable supply of building bricks. Bricks means 40 lakhs will not come. Okay, so 20 lakhs only. Here it is 23 lakhs, so they are required to get registered. But that point you need to write. A person engaged in supply of bricks and roofing tiles will not be eligible for 40 lakhs. Hira of Himachal Pradesh is exclusively engaged in intrastate taxable supply of footwear. His turnover in the current financial year from Himachal Pradesh showroom is 32. He has another showroom in Nagaland. Nagaland means automatically 10 lakhs. So required to get registered. 35. Other authentication is not required for persons who are already registered under GST. Examine and discuss the correctness of the statement. No. Even if you are registered, but at the time of registration you did not undergo authentication, post registration you need to undergo authentication. However, for the following persons, other authentication is not applicable. So even at the time of application or at a later point of time, they are not required to undergo. Who are they? Not being a citizen of India, Karta of HUA, people other than Karta of HUA, partners other than managing partners. That list we need to write. Okay. Aggregate turnover always we see on a all India basis. Yes. The moment I am liable to get registered, I need to register in each state from where I am making taxable supplies, even if 1 rupee taxable supply is also there in that state. Then next one, question number 36. Nesamani started his business activities in the month of February 2022 in the state of Orissa. He provided the following details. Orissa pa. So Orissa is not in MMT and USTAM. Outward supply of petrol, goods, petrol is goods. Transfer of exempted goods to his branch in Rajasthan. Exempted goods, no compulsory registration. Taxable goods, interstate taxable goods only compulsory registration. Outward supply of taxable goods by his branch in Uttar Pradesh, but intra, again, no need to compulsorily register. Outward supply of services on which tax is payable under RCM. So both goods and service is there. So what will be the limit? 20 lakhs. Why 20 lakhs? Goods also there, service also there. Now they are asking us to compute the aggregate turnover. Now from the beginning, whether non-taxable supply will come in aggregate turnover? Yes. Exempted goods? Yes. Taxable goods? Yes. Supply of services which is covered under RCM? Yes. Inward supplies under RCM will not come. Why inward supplies will not come under RCM? So what is the total of this? 17 lakhs, correct? And what is the applicable limit? 20 lakhs. So whether that person is required to get registered or not required to get registered? Not required to get registered. This actually nowadays they are asking questions like this. So they will ask you to compute the aggregate turnover also and determine. So these kind of questions I gave in the book. Our main book I have given lot of questions like this. We discussed now. So immediately after threshold limit computation I give. Briefly enumerate the contravention which make a registered person liable for cancellation of registration. Which one? That 7 points. That 7. Wrong address, wrong ITC, wrong invoice, those points. Determine the effective date of registration in the following cases. The aggregate turnover of Dampur Footwear Industries of Delhi has exceeded the applicable threshold limit of 40 lakhs on 1st September. It submits the application for registration on 20th September. Registration certificate is granted to it on 25th September. 1st September, because they are making application for registration within 30 days. Mehta Teleservice is an architect in Lucknow. The aggregate turnover exceeds 20 lakhs on 25th October. It makes application on 27 November, beyond 30 days. So the date on which they get the registration certificate, that is 5th December. Explain the procedure for revocation of cancellation of registration, where the registration of a person is cancelled suo motu by the proper officer. What is it you need to write? No. Procedure for revocation. The application should be made within 90 days. It can be extended for a further period of 180 days. Once we make application, if the proper officer is satisfied, within 30 days they will pass an order for revocation. Otherwise they will give a notice, and thereafter we need to give reply to the notice, and after reply within 30 days either they will reject the application or they will cancel, revoke the cancellation order. Okay, the chart we saw now, one flow chart, section 30, that we need to write. Okay, so these are the questions on registration we completed.